Welcome to the Simply Mindful Wellness Podcast. Join your host, Tracy, the Mindful Wellness Coach, as she takes a deeper look into nourishing your body, mind, and soul. Because being well creates the freedom to live life the way you want.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Simply Mindful Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Richardson, the Mindful Wellness Coach and Holistic Health Practitioner and owner of Hybrid Therapy. So welcome to the listeners. Today I'm joined by Jenni Orsini, Jen Orsini, the angelic alchemist, and we'll be talking about synergizing mind, body and soul with the power of natural therapies, identifying root causes of disease and getting back into balance and homeostasis. So welcome. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. Absolutely amazing. I'm loving these energies around us right now. Awesome. Even in dry storms.
Oh, absolutely. So we've just had this huge storm, and just as we finally managed to get on with all our technical difficulties, the sun is just so radiant at the moment. So this energy is beautiful. So you are based in the north of the UK, is that right?
I am. I'm about 20-25 minutes out of Manchester city centre. I used to work in Knightsbridge in London, where I trained back in 2014 under a medical doctor. And from there, it really, because I was on a cancer journey with a personal relative at the time, and that journey took me more into the power of holistic and natural. And I was just hungry for more and more information, because what I was researching in our quest for answers with a grade 4 stage 4 cancer was answers and solutions, remedies, because we didn't accept what the NHS told us with 2 weeks terminal diagnosis, and we turned that around very quickly. It was an incredible journey that taught me a lot, that spun my world upside down, because everything that I trusted in and believed in and was raised to believe in was not all as it seems, shall we say, which over this last 12, 14, 2 years actually has become more apparent to more of us. So now it isn't such a case of banging your head against a brick wall when you're trying to educate people on the healthier lifestyle choices that they need to make with nutrition and mindset and everything else. It's all one. But that first journey back in 2014 really turned my world upside down. It was breakdown tackle, it really was, because I trusted in what I thought we all had access to with remedies and solutions, and it was very apparent that that wasn't the case. And from there on in, I have just been determined to be able to help people. I also overturned my own condition of fibromyalgia, and that was an absolute chemical shitstorm. Excuse my French, but it was. I was on a whole cocktail of medications that just left me zombified. And I came to recognize that at 36, this wasn't the life I wanted me to be in, or my family or my children, because I couldn't function. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. My life stopped because of chronic pain, fatigue, just everything that is associated with disease. And that was my lifestyle. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't function. My older children were helping me. There's 5 of them all together from different age groups. And the older ones needed to really muck in. And that isn't a lifestyle that children should be needing to be my carer. So I really needed to look into what I was doing with my lifestyle, because how can I teach somebody else if I'm not doing it myself? And it became very apparent that the one thing I had never looked at enough of was nutrition. My metabolism has always been quite fast. I used to be a dancer when I was very young, from the age of 3. So I never had a problem with weight. So I had the mindset I could eat what I wanted. I didn't realize the damage I was doing internally. So before long, I'm racked with chronic inflammation and pain daily. So when I looked at all of this, I soon made the connection between pH balance and how acidic I was. So as soon as I reversed all of this and I started eating a lot healthier, I initially classed myself as healthy with eating fresh cut, home cooked food. My husband at the time wasn't as into the healthy options. He was a bit more into the processed foods. And I always found that there was just that battle in the house all the time between what everybody wanted to eat. I also have autistic children, so I'm very aware of, there's so many fussy things going on when you're feeding them, that certain things can't touch each other. They don't, it's all texture. It's all, so you're constantly feeling in a war zone with food to please everybody. But I also knew I couldn't function with what I was doing, even though I didn't see at the time anything was wrong. But I was a huge caffeine drinker. I've always been very, very busy in my working life. And when you're working, sometimes it's easier just to throw a few hundred calories down in a small pocket of a break if you get a cancellation or whatever. And you can't function like that healthily long term. It is going to bite you on the backside. And I started looking at what I was doing, and I realized my pain is reducing, my sleep is improving, my energy is now coming through as well, and I can achieve more. I can get back to work. I can get back into a quality of life again that I had completely lost, to the point of attempting to take my own life on 2 occasions. So it was a real impact for me that I needed to turn this shit around quickly, and then also be able to educate other people to do the same, because I don't accept that medication is the way forward for everything, because there are always easier, more natural solutions out there that we just might not be aware of. And it just takes one person to say, have you tried this? This worked for me, might not work for you, but what have you got to lose giving it a go? And then they see the improvements in health and wellness and skin and energy and sleep and everything. And then it infiltrates through. So it's been a slow journey for me, but over that time, in lockdown, it gave me the opportunity. I always knew I would teach, and it gave me the opportunity to bring in line my book, which I have blogged for years. As a mother of autistic children, a way of release for me has been to write, because that gets out my emotions, gets out all the stresses, all of the frustrations. Just write it all down, and then it's down. And I had so many years, 30 years of content, that when I was asked about actually getting this into life, did I have the content to do it? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. Now is the perfect time. My whole world has been stopped. It's out of my control. It's now or never. And I had an amazing publisher, and I just drew all of the content into the framework so that we can synergize mind, body, and soul, because it is a synergy of all three. You can't just do one. It has to be all three. So we're combating the nutritional side. So we have like 21-day transformational programs. We have the mind therapies as well, because what a lot of people are experiencing in these current times, which is really exciting, not only are we detoxing the nutritional side of all of the chemical shitstorms we've all had in life, but also the heavy metals and the other things that have really only come into my mindset over the last few years when I came across another health implication. And it was an area that I hadn't looked into as to how generational this issue is. And heavy metals is a huge thing to detox with. So I got involved with that heavily. But it's also now in releasing the emotional baggage, because we've all been through so many things, and especially in a lot of different movements that have formed over the last few years, we've all been through so many experiences in life. Whereas before, in our previous worlds, shall we say, we might have only come across 1 or 2 people. Now in our networks, it's all of them, because we've all had the same experience, adventures, hellholes, all kinds of things that we've battled and got through. So it's time now to bring all these amazing minds together, and we're all forming beautiful connections, collaborations, and alliances that is now feeding into community. And one thing that I am finding is I am treating my age group, which is heading to 50 and older. And my oldest child is 31, my youngest is 14. And I'm finding that this synergy needs to be fed into grassroots. It needs to be bringing in line to children, because they shouldn't be experiencing the levels of anxiety and depression that they are. I know 5-year-olds who are being medicated and 7-year-olds who are battling severe suicidal depression. And whereas in my generation, it was around 14 to 16 where you were going to go off the rails. Now it's getting younger at 11 and 12-year-olds, and this needs to stop. It really, really does. So I have collaborated with some beautiful people, and we have a lot of very exciting things coming into fruition, as well as everything else that we have going on. I can't comment what they are going to be at this time, but they are super, super exciting. And I do ask you to watch this space. And maybe in 2 months' time, we can do another chat and we can bring all of this in.
Awesome.
Well.
So you've been on a real kind of roller coaster of a journey that has taken you from, essentially the depths. So fibromyalgia is a chronic condition. For those that don't know, it's like non-specific pain syndrome. But it's like all these symptoms, a collection of symptoms that nobody knows what to deal with. So they provide medication. But something that you touched on there was that something that I like to say to people is just because someone's come to the extent of their knowledge doesn't mean that there is nothing more that can be done. It just means that they're potentially not aware of it, haven't thought of it, haven't been trained in it. So, when we know better, we do better kind of thing. So,
Exactly.
What's also amazing is how you've taken that journey and you're putting it out there into the world, and you're now helping loads of other people work through their own, journeys, the spiritual paths, their healing journeys. So how does what you do, how do you feel that it kind of supports people? So is it just about synergizing the body, the mind and the soul, or is it more than that?
Great question. And people, it's a lifestyle change. I know if I had people when I was at rock bottom, at my depths of despair in my own personal hell, if I'd have had somebody that said to me, just try this, just do this, just do this, I'd be like, are you serious? But I didn't give it the leverage it deserved. I didn't attempt it enough because I thought I knew better. I knew my pain. I knew how to manage it. It was this pill, this pill, this pill, this pill, and this pill. And you're telling me that if we go out into the woods and we do some breathing and I change what I eat, I'm going to feel better. Obviously, naturally, it goes a lot deeper than that. But I needed to change my mindset. And that was key, to be able to accept somebody else's trusted wisdom that actually, what have I got to lose if I try this? I've got the old way that I've lived by that I can go back to, but actually, what if this works? And I'm a kind of all-in kind of girl. I want to try something. And I know many people who have lived and are still living, sadly, in that lifestyle of chronic pain. And it's just not somewhere that you need to stay. You don't need to own this. There's other ways to be, but it all starts with a little seed. And it has to start with here. Because in the mind, if you can't lose the fear of trying something new, you're never going to move forward in any avenue of life. It doesn't matter whether it's nutrition or going for a new job or meeting a new partner or anything. If you can't lose that fear, you're always staying stuck. And I don't believe in staying stuck, and I definitely don't believe in going backwards. You have to move forward all the time because things are always evolving. We're always learning. I have challenged many a medical oncologist, many a pediatrician, many a GP, many a consultant in all walks of life in many countries. And they at first look at you and like, are you medically trained? Do I need to be medically trained? Do I need to be medically trained to know that something that I've changed in myself and other people, do I need that certificate to say that this works? Because when you have gone to medical school and you're trained in a certain way, that's all you ever know. And I said, I appreciate the level of training that you all do, and I'm not detracting from that skill. However, things evolve, things advance, and research is always continuous. So what you found works in the 1970s might not work in the 21st century. And all I ask you is to prove me wrong. And I give them situations and I give them some tools, and I do ask them, I encourage them to go away and research, much to their detriment. They hate having to find me afterwards, which they do, and total respect for them for doing it, because they'll find me. The last place I had to challenge this was my own son. And this is why it's also very, very personal for me, and also why I know the importance of what I do, because I see its effectiveness and efficiency, and how he isn't going to be in a problematic health issue for the rest of his life through a situation I found myself in, going back into trusting that world briefly, which has now complicated his health for life. So never again will I not trust my gut instinct and my own knowledge, wisdom, research, which is key, and then make my own informed choice. Never again will I not do that. So unfortunately, I've learned that lesson again the hard way, because that's how Jen needs to learn things in life. But then I think, you know what? All these experiences make us who we are. And if that doesn't give you strength, then, you know, you're missing the important lessons. And we are all going to keep repeating this feedback loop from hell until we do. I am sorry, but I am not coming back again to repeat all of this in another lifetime. I am done.
Absolutely. You don't want to be repeating everything again. And it's about that, like you say, the lessons and taking what you can gain from it. So I'm one of these, I'm an opportunist. I like to look at the opportunities that present me. So anything that I can learn from is just fabulous, which is one of the reasons I'm loving these podcasts. But like you were saying, it doesn't matter what your educational skill set is, how many years you've spent at university, what certificates you've got. You can look outside and see that it's raining and you're not a meteorologist. So having that intuition, and, you know, I think that really does count for a lot more than most of the population would figure.
Absolutely.
So what inspires you then to work like this? Is it a combination of, or is it just one thing? Is it your own health journey? Is it that of your family? Is it the results that you see? Or is it like an accumulation of?
It's an accumulation of everything, knowing my own personal journey. And even when I was premise-based before lockdown hit, because I was one of the businesses that, you know, I decided not to continue in premises because my lease was actually due for renewal and I was about to expand in the premises, and everything just wasn't aligning. And I just knew it just wasn't the right time. But you know what? That was okay. It was absolutely fine. Instead of seeing it as a negative, and especially in 2020, when everything was so out of our control, we weren't fully aware with what was happening. We had a lot of things about to be unleashed that year with work and how I was aligning everything. But it just wasn't the right way. And it was okay. It was absolutely fine. And it really helped me to help other people then very quickly get their mindset into improving their health. So it's been a massive combination, and the more results, amazing results that I've seen coming through spurs me on, and then more I get a lot of recommendations for chronic acute illnesses. And I always say to people, every illness is never the same. Our health is never the same. Our mindset, how our bodies work. So what works for you isn't going to work for me, and vice versa, because we are all unique. So you can't just follow a protocol and hope for the best. This is very specialist. It's very prescriptive. It's also under a lot of medical guidance, of which I have over the years worked with a number of beautiful people from all walks of life in a lot of holistical, but also medical places where I trusted their abilities, their knowledge, their skill sets, because they are more aligned with the natural way of things rather than the allopathic, restrictive ways. But it's the synergy of everything again, because from these experiences, so many people, I used to have people down at the salon where I worked, saying to me, how come you can be like this? My wife can't be like this. What can I do to help her? You know, or my husband or my children, how can I change their life for them to improve everything? But if they're not willing to listen. And if they're not willing to put in the steps themselves, it doesn't matter what machines you have, which specialists you have, which anything at all that you give them, if it's not starting with the right mindset, intention, belief is everything, and positivity has to be key. So you're also guiding them on their own physical but mental and astral healing journey, which is where then the spiritual alignments always then come in. So then they see, it's not about just making sure that I'm eating and drinking and fueling my body the right way. It's also making sure that I'm not dipping in mindset so that I'm in those lower vibrations of fear or frustration or anger or resentment or anything. It's pushing yourself to get out on that walk. It is arranging to see some friends and not being in fear of anything. It is doing things that get you out of your comfort zone that you would have spent years saying, no, I'm going to not do that just yet. Actually, hell yes, get out there and do it. Because that confidence that it gives you when you also see those results and other people then start commenting on them, what is it that you're doing? Because you actually look fabulous. Your whole energy has changed and you're seeing this, which is then igniting your confirmation for yourself. But what you're doing is not only working for you, but it's being recognized in your whole energy space as well. And people then want to, what is it? What's she doing? She's looking good. I want what she's got. What is it? What's going on?
Absolutely. So it's all about like setting people up for success, really, and
Yes.
developing the skills that,
Yes.
everybody has access to, but it's whether you're tapping into that, whether you're taking the responsibility, whether you're in the right mindset, the right way of working, way of thinking, for sure. So
I'm also very, very highly intuitive. So I also know, your issue might not be right now your health, but I know right now it's your mindset. So let's work on this. And if it's an energetic session, for instance, I will know instantly the minute that person has walked through the door where we're kind of going today. And that is then confirmed in the session. And then before they know it, they're releasing more emotional baggage that might not be the reason that they've actually come to see me about, because your energies will never lie and you can't escape what needs releasing emotionally. It's the same as the physical detox. It all needs taking out. And that's the one thing people forget to do. We're also focused on, I need to do this. I need to take this, and this. And then I'm going to be super healthy. My immune system's going to be brilliant. But you have to be very mindful. You have to be very careful, because not all supplements are good supplements and not all supplements can be taken together. A lot of people don't actually know what they're doing with them, but they're feeling better because they're taking them. So that's okay. But actually, what you might be doing is creating a bit more of a whiplash situation going on in your gut. You still need that terrain detoxing because, like I touched on before, we've got generational issues going on with heavy metals, for instance, that was out of our control from maybe 8 generations ago. So anybody that thinks that they are healthy, even if they're wearing the latest Fitbit, I'll guarantee they're not healthy. And, that mindset of, well, I just have one glass of wine in the evening, or we just have one takeaway a month, or we'll just do this. Actually, no. Yes, you want to live, but just change that into a healthier version. So you're still doing the exciting things, but you're still fueling everything rightly, because the minute this all comes into balance as your body, everything then comes into place itself. And it just all flows. And then synchronicities align. More positive things are occurring in your life. The children are happier. Things are flowing easier. Finances are easier. Before you know it, you're smiling again. You're finding the joy in your day again. It's not the little things that are really dragging you down like they were before. But you could be in the midst of the biggest personal chaos in life. Because let's face it, none of us have it really easy right now. There's not one person I know who is living the world life of Riley without a care in the world. We all have them, me included, myself included. And it's how we deal with that that's so important. And it is all with the mind. And if you're not sitting and staying in your heart space long enough in your day, your week, your month, then how can you expect anything to change around you and within you?
For sure. All starts from within. So
Yes.
the heart brain coherence. So I don't know, you're aware, obviously, Joe Dispenza, and
Yes. Love him.
Honestly, learned so much from that guy. But actually, like you say, being in that heart space, it's all right being in the mindset, but if you're not feeling it through the heart, you're not generating those higher vibration vibes, because love is such a high vibration. So when you're in that synchronous space, like you say, everything just flows a little bit easier, a little bit better. The sun shines more, everybody's smiling more. And it's a lot of it is just the choices that you make on a daily basis, or changing one tiny little thing that has that effect throughout life, for sure. So what are some of the things then that you've kind of noticed or witnessed or supported others through? So you've mentioned it, like you work on the whole package, the mind, body, soul, and without getting kind of into specifics or anything like that, have you witnessed like them go through similar journeys to yours? So you've seen them come out the other end, or are they still progressing through that? Are they falling off the wagon a lot? What sort of things do you notice?
I noticed more than anything, once people get it, consistency, which is absolutely key. But it only takes the first few days. I had a lady yesterday who for the first time felt like she felt better. And a lot of the people that I see are very, 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 very complex. Now, we haven't even really started her journey. She's just started one step. She has already seen and felt a visible difference in her energy, in her day. And that from how I know her space to be, as in a very complex, how on earth she managed to get out of bed every day kind of situation, to hear that already, you just know their journeys are just going to be amazing. I've helped people battle addictions. We've dealt with serious health complications, life-changing situations, severe suicidal depression, anxiety, so many things, from children to teenagers to young adults to our generation and above. And this is why, to me now personally, it was so important that we bring this into the community at grassroots, because children need this in their lives. They need to be aware of energy, and it's, children are so, they're like sponges. They soak everything up, and before the age of 7, before their brains have completely formed fully, and the world's had their hands on them and taken away that innocence, that's when it's the perfect time from 5 upwards for them to be bringing this into their worlds. So that is it really exciting for the future. But it depends on the initial, I'm not going to say complication, I'm not going to say issue, but it depends on the initial issue, if you like, as to how they've come to me in the first place, because it might be for nutritional things. I am a trained nutritionist. I'm also a master healer, a Reiki healer. I do attunement, so they might come to me because they're going down that path first, but then they realize everything else is coming in. It might be that it's counseling, it might be trauma based. We've all experienced some horrific issues in life, whether it's been sexual abuse, domestic abuse. I myself have experienced both from previous partners and one marriage. So I've also been fully aware of narcissistic abuse and how to combat that very low place that they put you in. So it's knowing how to resonate with that other person by giving them some of your experiences. So, I prefer personally that I'm working with somebody who's experienced, but has also had the knowledge and experience of this situation, not somebody who's reading from a textbook with no life experience whatsoever, And I think when you've been to those deepest, darkest places of hell, a lot of people will then resonate with how you have come out of that and how you can then help somebody else. The same as with my own children, we have autistic spectrum on there, but we also have some much higher, more advanced problematic issues with two of them. And many years ago, I tried to form a network called SNAPT, because it became very apparent that in families like mine, there wasn't help out there. And that's what I've battled ever since my children were 6, almost 30 years ago, because autism in the 90s and the 80s wasn't heard of. And they just didn't know where to signpost, how to help. And that just makes family life even more problematic. So when mum is on the brink of a health breakdown because they can't cope with the dynamics of what's going on in the family situation, that's when complications arise. So I formulated SNAPT as a network for adults and carers so that we had a network of support as well. But it's like anything, you're met with restrictions. I took all of my professional services to GPs, centres, to be signposted to, because it's very apparent that the children don't have the support network, but neither do the families either. So if it's not there, let's create it. But trying to get that assistance from the services to be signposted to, yet again, is another battle. So again, we're going back into community and let's revive this again. So I do get a very diverse mix of all ages, all groups, all issues, whether it's health, whether it's energetically healing, whether it's trauma-based counselling, or whether it's physical treatment, of which are a range of modalities that I bring in to line. And then because I've made so many beautiful collaborations as well over the last few years, we can bring those into community events, which we're now beginning to launch this year. So it's just even more exciting. We're starting with some retreats as well. And,
awesome.
We have a lot happening this year. It has been a beautiful time, as crazy as it has been in a very unsecure, insane world. It has been the best. And I'm not going to apologise for saying that. But it has also been very hard, very dark, very daunting at times. We've all struggled. We've all not known what's coming next. But you know what? We never did. And in 5 years' time, we still won't. So what's the point in worrying? What is the point? And I used to be the biggest what-if girl. I was always replaying those scenarios before they'd even played out. And now it's a case of I'm in so much flow in what we're doing and what we're bringing into alignment and what we're achieving, that it is just synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity.
And I can feel the energy flowing from you as you're talking about it. It's, like you say, for me, it's either you can go through life with the, looking at the what ifs and what could happen, or the why nots. Yeah. So like, why not do that? Yeah. And you know, Michael Jordan says you only regret the shots that you didn't make, or the shots that you didn't take. So with that in mind, then, is there any part of your journey that you didn't expect?
Yeah, all of it. All of it.
It's not like it was a logical, like, well thought out plan. This is how I'm gonna like diversify and so on. Because a lot of people that you've used that word pivot over the last 2 years. It's been one of those kind of serendipitous, synchronous kind of things that has just evolved. Yes.
Well, I've always known I was very different. I've always known that I didn't always fit into society's labels of the norm. But as I grew older, you kind of think, would I want to? And I look at society now and still think, would I want to? Hell no. I'm creating a reality that aligns with what I want to do, and out of the matrix of everything that we've been led to believe was for our benefit, which, as we know now, is very different. And I never expected to have the abusive relationships that I've had. I never expected to have children so young. I was 17 when I first had my first child. And I found myself in a situation where I was booked into a clinic and this was going to be taken care of. And all of a sudden I was like, you're taking that decision away from me. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm capable of. Because you think I can't do this, but that's just me all over. You say I can't do something, I'm going to do it twice, just to prove to you that I can. And that's not out of arrogance or attitude or anything. It's just me having that fighting spirit to go, do you know what? Try me.
Yeah.
Because I will prove you otherwise. And that's the same as I do with medical things and so many other things as well. It's like, you think you can't do something, but have you actually really tried? You know, and I do wish I think we're all guilty of this. We would reflect back on how we've done things in our motherhood, parenthood, relationships, anything, working life, anything at all, and wish that we had done something differently. But then, has that learnt you all your lessons? No. The way that I now raise my youngest two compared to my older three, even though I would have said we were healthy, for instance, I didn't breastfeed my older three, but I did my younger two. They were very healthily fed on what I thought was organic food, but actually it's filled with arsenic, mercury, lead, and other horrendous things, let alone the GMO and all of that. But at 23, did I realize what I was feeding my children, dealing with two very demanding autistic ones and another child? I'm looking at things, I'm seeing organic. Why should I have to trust that you haven't put lead in my baby food? Mm-hmm. It shouldn't even be a question.
No.
But now in life, it's a question we all need to be asking. So it's made me more mindful, especially with my younger son's physical journey with his liver. It's made me more mindful of what is in everything that we're ingesting. It has made me more mindful of, you know, toiletries, everything that we're putting onto our skin. And that's really where the transition came. When I was in the beauty world, I just hated the whole vanity side of it. I knew that there was more that I would be doing. I knew that there was more that I could do that gave more, rather than just making that person look good. They always left feeling good as well, but I just wasn't into the whole vanity. I'm trained in so many different things, but I've dropped a lot along the way because it's just not what I'm interested in. You know, I always used to get asked, well, why don't you have a nurse prescriber in the clinic and you can do Botox? Well, no, I'm not against Botox. I'm not against nurse prescribers, but it's not what I choose to bring into my ethical practice, because I don't agree with the chemical in the body. So how can I not agree with chemical in the body and then have somebody doing that? Because to me, it's not about money. It's not about profit. It's not about greed. It's about that person being the best natural version they can be. So if that is what you choose to have, then I can refer you to some amazing prescribers. Please stay clear of the dodgy ones. I can refer you to some amazing people. So, you know, it's signposting. You know what people want. You know what people need, but it's putting them to the right group for the right things that they need. And we think we've all come across in the last 2 years so many beautiful collaborations that has made all of that happen. And I found that when I wrote my book, I was told in 2017 that I would write this book. I actually wrote it, finalized it, and published it in 2020. But it's only now in 2022 that I actually see the whole framework working as I wrote it. So even then, it was like I underestimated the power of how important my own framework structure of synergizing the mind, body, and soul was going to be. And now it's getting to the stage where, okay, we're going to need premises again. We're going to need this, and this again, because it is very powerful. Because you might come to me for one issue and you might be with me for 3 sessions, but you might need no more than 3. You'll never need to see me again. You might be with me for 12. It depends on the initial thing, but we never look at anything in one way. Everything is multifaceted, and therefore we bring in the multifaceted solutions to go with everything. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We are not one-dimensional beings, for sure.
Multi-dimensional beings,
absolutely.
shining the light everywhere.
Yes, radiating that light. So what's had the most profound effect on you then throughout the whole of this time? So since you've embarked upon this journey, you've kind of left the beauty world behind, you've left your health problems behind, and you've embarked upon this, helping people better themselves, essentially. What's had the biggest effect on you in that time?
The biggest effect is watching people's transformation. It melts me every single time. Every single message I receive, every single testimony, every single, oh my goodness, I can't believe that's happened. And oh, thanks for those tips. It's like, why do we think that we need to why do people micromanage other people? We've got so many tips and solutions. If you want to know them, just ask. Come and see me. You will leave with a wealth of information because I'm trained in so many things. And I'm bringing into these sessions breath work, frequency healing, nutritional things, so many things, which then offshoot into other areas. And it's seeing that transformation that for me is just, it doesn't overwhelm me, but it's never anything I will ever get used to, because it humbles me so much that they are living a life that they never thought was possible, from being in that depths of despair previously to then blossoming and seeing them fly and shine and soar. That's my reward. It really truly is. And I see that from many different age groups right now, and it is beautiful. And that just spurs me on to do even more, because it is all about the person. It's not about anything else. It's not about me. It's not about money. It's not about anything but you coming to me for a particular issue, and we're going to look at this, and then we're going to put in some protocols in place where I know you're going to benefit from, and we're just going to fly with it. However many sessions that is going to take is usually kind of coming into line in the beginning. But then I find they still come back to me just to keep me posted on their progress and how many exciting things are happening with them. And it is just so beautiful. And my world now is a million miles away from where it was even 2 years ago. And I know in 2 years' time, it will be a million miles away again from now and this time. But I know it's all positive. I know it's all going in the right direction. I know as each hour passes, more and more people are coming into their frequencies and their own vibrations themselves and making their own magic happen, because that's the one thing I always reiterate to people. It's not me that's doing this work. It's you. I'm just showing you the key. You're unlocking the door and we're walking through it together, but you're taking the adventure. You're learning all these different things, and it's all coming into fruition. And before you know it, you see it is that synergy, mind, body, and soul. There you go, you've got it. And it actually wasn't as painful or as expensive or didn't take up half your life to do it.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Okay, so final question then that I asked to everybody. What does mindful wellness mean to you?
Mindful wellness. Wellness to me encapsulates way too much for me to give that any credible answer. It really does, because it's a little bit of everything. My idea of mindfulness might not be what another person might do or enjoy, but their way of doing it is still mindfulness. If they want to just spend a few hours gardening, weeding, doing their thing, that is their mindfulness. If a person, what is happening at the moment is everybody is purging, both physically, nutritionally, emotionally, and we're all coming into our beautiful new beings dimensionally. And it is incredible to witness. It really is. But what worked 2 weeks ago might not work now. Mm-hmm. So you find that we're going into some kind of nesting mode almost, where you might find you've got to clean the whole house from top to front and bring in a bit of feng shui. And, you know, all of a sudden that's really getting on your wick where you place that. It's been there 30 years, but now you've got to move it. But that to that person is that day's mindfulness. Whereas to somebody else, it might be, I'm going to the pictures on a date night. That's our 2 hours. Whereas for somebody else, it might be, do you know what? I just need to lock in my bedroom, get a few crystals out, light a candle and go into my personal space. Or it might be that I need to do my spin class because that's my mindfulness for the week. So I can't really answer that because everything for everybody is so different. It really is. We've got into crafting a lot. It's my daughter's beautiful time where we get to spend some time together making and creating a lot of energy tools for other people, but we're also making it together. That's our special time. But that's also what some people might class as work. But actually, it's not. It's our mindfulness as well. Do you see how I can't really answer that question?
No, I think you kind of have. I think that's a really beautiful answer because it's different for everybody. And it's never a one size fits all. And we know that as practitioners, every person that comes through the door is totally different, totally unique, totally individual, you know, journeys, stories, everything about them is different. So that is a really beautiful answer because it is so different for everybody.
Yeah, just go with what you feel is best. But because there is no right or wrong answers. I think we've all found out the hard way that our children didn't come with a handbook. Our partners didn't either. So what makes us think life did?
For sure. Okay, so thank you so much for your time today and thank you for joining us on the podcast, Jenni.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Simply Mindful Wellness podcast. Join us next time for a new episode.